Hunters avoid contact with wolves that have a white patch on their breast for this reason. Wolves are seen differently in different cultures. While they are respected in some, their tendency to attack animals and represent a threat to people makes them despised in others. So, just what type of animal is this? A ferocious savage or a devoted companion? Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. The bond that forms between a dog and a wolf is a highly uncommon and intense occurrence. It possesses an unexplainable inner force. Since these creatures are so unlike from one another in personality and behavior, we find ourselves staring at them in fascination whenever we see images of their extraordinary camaraderie, as if they were some sort of miracle. Dogs and wolves can get along and even approach each other most of the time, which is why this particular instance is so remarkable. One of the greatest images of a friendship between dogs and wolves was sent to us by German photographer and artist Angelus Kani. Tanya first brought a wolf cub that had gotten out of the den home. Despite being raised on a reserve, his mother was unable to provide for her children. Tanya adopted the third cub after the other two perished. Then Tanya's dog produced 11 puppies. She spent 4 months living with the wolf cub as she was unable to locate it a new home. Consequently, the German pointer puppy Adla and the wolf Norin became close. Together, they have been sleeping, eating, and playing. The wolf puppy and the puppy formed a genuine friendship. But as the wolf grows older and needs more space, Norin was sent to live with wolves in a pack in the Lüneburg Nature Reserve. However, the two friends continue to get together sometimes, so the narrative does not finish there. They still enjoy playing together and feel a great deal of affection for one another. Our tale was begun by witnesses and spread by word of mouth until it was published online. There is no photographic or video proof to support it. This tale transports us back to a Russian town in the 1930s, where a family of 3 resided. The most essential element that kept the husband, wife, and son happy was their love for one another. But the family was hit by a calamity one day. The home burnt down right away since it was built of wood, and the fire started in the middle of the night for unknown reasons. Regretfully, the fire claimed the lives of her kid and spouse. Upon returning home from her night shift job, the woman discovered that the house had entirely burned down. The only dog that miraculously survived was the farm dog, a large, black, fluffy dog with a white patch on its chest. His people perished as a result of his attempt to flee into the blazing home for assistance. The dog was struggling to survive, but the woman nursed it back to health. The woman lost her last family member and received an absolute love and loyalty in return from the dog. She requested that the chairman of the collective farm name her as the heir apparent to the oldest forester, who had long desired to resign, as she was unable to reside in the village where the tragedy had taken place. Having a lady live alone in a forest full of wolves and bears was quite unusual. Therefore, at first, the guy hesitated to do it. However, the woman persisted and succeeded in her goal. So the woman and her dog moved out into the woods to live together. The chairman first paid the lady many visits to see how she was doing, but he quickly came to the conclusion that the new forester was doing well and decided to leave her alone. After the first winter, the dog started to go out into the forest for an extended period of time in the early spring. The woman was waiting nervously for her pet to return and didn't know what to think. Given that the dog was all she had left and that she had no reason to exist without him, she was terrified of losing him. One day, however, her 4-legged companion did not return home by himself. A young she-wolf was standing close to the house, at the edge of the woodland. The dog's extended absences and vanishing behavior were explained by this friendship. Everything would have been okay after the young family moved into the doghouse, but the she-wolf disliked having humans around. The wolf would always run away from the woman as soon as she attempted to approach the doghouse, snarling and smiling at her. The dog moaned gently and clawed at the door one night. Unsure of what to believe, the woman fled into the yard. The dog took her to the doghouse where the she-wolf lay panting heavily on the mat. Softly speaking, the owner climbed in and started to palpate the wolf. The illness had debilitated the wolf, so all it could do was moan gently. The mouth was clean and all the bones were in place. What then transpired? The woman was at a loss for what to do. Unable to do action, the anxious dog slept next to his comrade, hoping as he gazed at his mother. Somehow, the woman was able to get the wolf into the home by picking him up. Despite the intense heat in the room, the lady continued to cover the animals with a blanket, and the dog lay at the doorway staring at his wife without flinching. The wife fell asleep in the morning because she was exhausted. The wine woke her, and as she opened her eyes, a golden wolf had appeared. The wolf balled himself up. The woman's nose felt damp as she delicately touched it. The woman remarked, "I'm glad everything went well." After she slept off, the cub, two handsome and powerful males for genuine wolves, was born. Their father just gave them their size and color, as well as the identical white patches on their chests. However, the family's happiness was quickly followed by grief since the dog had passed away. The widow buried her kid beside a large white birch tree after losing both her husband and son. At the cemetery, the two ladies sobbed all night long. The lady was not abandoned by the she-wolf. After a while, the villagers grew accustomed to her and just referred to her as daughter-in-law, which is how they coexisted. However, human existence is not limitless. A wolf unexpectedly charged the president's horse one day as he was making his way to the forester's home. The man was so terrified that he was having trouble staying steady in the saddle. However, he soon identified his daughter-in-law. She moaned as she ran along the street, sensing something wasn't quite right. The man gave his horse a push. The woman was chilly when he discovered her in the house. The individual who had been phoned said that his heart had stopped. In the village cemetery, they laid her to rest. The president kept seeing the backs of 3 wolves, a gambler, a wolf, and 2 black people who were his sons, during the burial. The howling of the wolves kept the entire community awake that night. People questioned, what happened to the wolf and her cubs? They entered the woods. It is reported that she never let a wolf touch her in her entire life. She was discovered dead near the dog's burial 3 years later. Beside him, the president buried her. The tavern owners were obviously troubled and had taken up a leadership role within the herd. There's no other way to explain why packs headed by black-furred wolves with white patches on their chests never attack people or livestock, and why the hunters never come into contact with them. They recall the devoted dog and its partner. Although they have dark skin, they have white spirits. They were discussed by everybody. It is up to you whether or not you accept this tale, but one thing is certain. Wolves are among the most devoted creatures. They form strong bonds with their partners and communicate with each other through body language and facial expressions. The herd communicates with one another and with each other through the language of combat. That's all there is to it for folks nowadays. They lick and massage their faces. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.